Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and what I wanted to do was take a couple minutes and review the causes of World War One. World War One can be summed up, the causes of World War One can be summed up in mains: militarism, alliances, imperialism, nationalism, shot in Sarajevo, which we will address each of these, and please make sure you annotate your notes as we go along. So, just a couple of things to review. Remember, what is going to happen is this is how Europe looks on the eve of World War One. Very different than Europe today. You have a lot of different ethnic groups that are in these areas. And you just have, remember, in the 1800s, you had Italy unified through the work of Cavour and Garibaldi. You have Germany unified through the work of Bismarck. Remember, in 1815, there were 5 great European powers that defeated Napoleon. You had Britain, France, Russia, Austrian Empire, and Prussia. However, by 1914, that balance of power that they established was beginning to fall apart. Your two major powers in Europe in 1914 are the United Kingdom and Germany. Then you have, still with great power status, Russia, Austria-Hungary, and France. You have Italy on the rise, and then you have Japan and the United States also on the rise. So let's talk about the causes. So remember, the causes: militarism, mains, militarism, alliances, imperialism, nationalism, shot in Sarajevo. So what is happening in Europe is this great military buildup is occurring. Europe will be locked in an arms race, and that is where you really see that between the battle between Germany and Britain for control of navies, to have the biggest navy. All the countries except Britain have a draft, so the size of their armies are growing. You also have these powers developing these plans that if war is called, I can mobilize my troops and have them at the border in as little time as possible. These mobilization plans. One of the things, like Germany, for example, if you look at Germany, it's going to be surrounded. Their mobilization plan is, okay, I'm going to move all my troops to the French border quickly so I can defeat them and then deal with Russia. So militarism becomes a big force in Europe. Another cause of World War I is the alliance system. And if we go back here, we can see that Europe has split into these alliances. You have the Triple Alliance, which is Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy. You have the Triple Entente, which is the United Kingdom, France, and Russia. If you notice, while this is to make Germany feel to make countries feel more stable and secure, it actually will increase insecurity because, as you saw with the video, if Austria-Hungary declares war, for example, on Serbia, then Serbia is aligned with Russia, and then that brings, when Russia declares war on Austria-Hungary, that brings Germany in, etc., etc. So the alliances make it, when one nation goes to war, it's going to cause all of Europe to go to war. Imperialism was not talked about here in the war, but imperialism is a cause of the war. There's mistrust going around among the great powers. The Ottoman Empire is crumbling, which is opening up the Middle East for the oil-rich Middle East that these countries are rushing towards. Think about the Boer War. It increased antagonism between Germany and Britain because The Germans supported the Boers in the war, so that is hurting the war also. Nationalism is a big cause of the war. We saw it in the video when he mentioned it was in no great power's interest to go to war in 1914, and yes, they did. Honor. We have to go to war because we need to show our nation is strong. For example, when Russia is mobilizing, they did not support um, the Serbs in, I'm sorry, the Slavs in the Balkan region in 1912 with Bosnia-Herzegovina. Now Russia is rushing to mobilize so they don't appear weak again. You also have the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, where you have many of these different ethnic groups that want their own nations. You have the France still wanting, upset over the results of the Franco-Prussian War and loss of territory. And then the people are just very nationalistic, and that is going to be a cause of the war. So if I look at militarism, alliances, imperialism, nationalism, that's kind of the wood. So for our fire. Now our spark, the thing that sets it off is the death of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who is visiting Sarajevo, which is in Bosnia-Herzegovina at the time, which is a territory of Austria-Hungary. He is to be the next ruler of Austria-Hungary. He is shot by Gavrilo Princip, at which case Austria-Hungary will blame Serbia, and that's where the war will just, all of a sudden, they can't control it. That's where the Kaiser talked about how he couldn't control this war, because what happens is Germany, so the Archduke is shot. Austria-Hungary orders an ultimatum against Serbia. Germany supports Austria-Hungary's actions. When Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia and then Russia mobilizes, that sets the alliance system into motion, and then you have World War I. So, very quickly, just to review, causes of World War I are militarism, alliances, imperialism, nationalism, and the shot in Sarajevo.